The King Piccolo arc of Dragon Ball ended on a very somber note. While we've left previous arcs without the main objective accomplished, there was always some light at the end of the tunnel, some beacon of hope to shoot for. This time, there is no such hope. The Dragon Balls are gone, half our team is dead, and an entire city was destroyed. Once more, we learn you can't rest in peace if you're killed by a demon, meaning potentially thousands will be left to roam purgatory for all of eternity. We may have defeated Piccolo, but it really does seem like he got the best of humanity. And now we have nothing left to do but pick up the pieces. Except, there might be hope. Though odds are slim, Master Karin, who's our sitting expert of the mystical side of Dragon Ball now that Roshi is dead, tells us that we might be able to bring back the Dragon Balls by talking to their creator. The creator of the Dragon Balls. Okay. I was completely blindsided by this when I first read this chapter. I'd never questioned who created the Dragon Balls. And why should I? The characters never did. Being able to take weird and extraordinary things in stride is kind of Dragon Ball's whole thing. That's why no one questioned why Goku can turn into a giant monkey, or why Puar and Oolong can shapeshift, or heck, how the world didn't end after Roshi blew up the moon. But now we're actually meeting the creator face to face, and he's gotta be one special dude to be able to make a dragon capable of granting any wish. Well, almost any wish. They couldn't wish for Piccolo to have an aneurysm for the obvious reason that it would kill story tension. What follows is Toriyama masterfully building hype for the audience to get prepared to meet the creator of the Dragon Balls. First, just putting an entire chapter of space between introducing the concept and meeting the creator was a good idea just so readers didn't learn the answer to the mystery 5 minutes about learning about the mystery. Second, having Goku lose the Noibo and having to stop by Baba's to find it lets us know the prophecy has been fulfilled, meaning Goku's in-universe plot armor is gone. Well, one layer of it, but we'll get back to that later. So now the audience knows Goku can die again. And third, Yajirobe and Korin's chit-chat implies the creator of the Dragon Balls is not only a character we the audience already know, but strong enough he might just be a threat to Goku. And that's the thing. This is Goku fresh off not just one, not just two, but 3 Zenkais. And also a generous bump in power thanks to the Ultra Divine Water. With Piccolo nerfed down into being a baby, there should be nothing in this universe that has a chance of rivaling Goku. With everything that's been established, he should very well be the top of the verse. So thinking about a character that's stronger than Goku, and somebody whom we already know, gets the audience's heart racing over who it could be. Also, I just have to point out how very obviously Kami wasn't planned and didn't exist before this arc. We know this because his introduction absolutely assassinated Karin's character in retrospect. He knew Goku needed to get stronger to help the people around him, but he never once sent Goku up the chain of command. Which, I mean, first time is understandable. Goku still had some lessons he needed to learn before he was a complete character. But the second time around, Goku was prepared to drink poison to save his friends. How could that not prove that he was noble down to his core? Instead of playing these water games, we could have just popped up to Sanctuary and dipped into the hyperbolic time chamber to train without risk of poisoning yourself to death. Also, hey, kid, only beat Piccolo badly enough that he can't fight back anymore, and don't kill him, or else we'll lose the Dragon Balls for good. This one line is all it would have taken. Instead, Karin sent him off without warning, and if Piccolo hadn't done this, they would have all been screwed. Think about that. It's a complete coincidence that Raditz didn't squad wipe the entire crew when he arrived. Karin nearly screwed the entire planet. I understand why Goku doesn't hang with Karin like he does with his other mentors. The cat is kind of a jerk. So Goku gets up to Sanctuary and... It's hard being a glazer sometimes. Tiptoeing around the elephant in the room, watching as Goku gets the shit beat out of him by an assistant to the guy we've been told to worry about is the last bit of hype we needed before meeting the creator of the Dragon Balls. And it's... Wait, what? Anyone reading or watching this weekly would have never in a million years guessed this. Seeing that Kami looks just like Piccolo opens a floodgate of questions. Is he Piccolo's twin? Piccolo's dad? Maybe even one of Piccolo's previous kids? The answer is even better than all of that. Turns out, he is Piccolo. Or rather, Piccolo is him. Until he had him pruned so he could become the god of Earth. But then that pruned branch took roots and grew into its own tree. Looking at it from a morals perspective, Kami is a super hateable dude. He was obsessed with becoming God to the point where he did something insane by expelling his evil, wasn't concerned about what became of that evil, turned Piccolo loose on Earth, did nothing during Piccolo's first rampage, did nothing for the centuries that Piccolo was under the sea, and did nothing during Piccolo's second rampage. Sure, a divine code binds him into not being able to interfere, but he could at least put someone in the position to interfere, so there are obviously loopholes. This dude got so many people killed because of his own egotism. I think it'd be justifiable to hate him alongside Dazo and Saint Charlos as the most hateable anime characters. And yet somehow, I don't. I'm not sure why, but I just can't bring myself to hate Kami. I think it has to do with, despite how many mistakes he's made, he's prepared to own up to it and right all of his wrongs, even if he has to throw away his own life to accomplish it. I believe that's the beauty in Kami's character. Accountability. Plus, this is a series where everyone has done a couple of things that should net them a lifetime in prison. So I can see why the Dragon Ball fanbase is easy on Kami. So Kami hears out Goku and brings back Shenron. And we need to talk about this little energy blob form that Shenron exists in as he's running back to the Dragon Balls. What is it? Is Shenron sentient in that form? Can he hop in and out of the Dragon Balls at will? If so, could he possess a body and become a full-time fighter? I don't know, I just feel like we glossed over this little bit too quickly. So Shenron grants the wish to bring everyone back from the dead, and it was very nice of him to bring back Master Roshi by proxy. Even though Piccolo technically didn't kill Roshi, Roshi used a move of his own free will and died from the recoil. It's the nice little bonuses that Shenron does, like this and the cooler for the ice cream, that makes many fans, me included, just not jive with the idea of evil Dragon Balls as a villain. They aren't genies, they have no incentive to fleece the main cast out of wishes. In fact, it seems like they like working with customers to grant wishes. It's like Kami says, there might be some people who use the Dragon Balls for selfish reasons, but as long as someone like Goku wishes to use them for a good cause, it's worth keeping them around. On the topic of Goku, he decides to take the patented Kami training course. But even if Kami didn't offer to train him, he was going to work out on Kami's front porch until he did. That is the essence of Goku's character. Even if he can't get the easiest path to strength, he'll never stop trying anyway. It's that and other character traits that demonstrate Goku has matured into an adult, and we'll be studying them as we enter the Piccolo Jr. arc. With the prologue out of the way, hello everyone. My name is Sir Rambles-on-Alot, but my friends call me Rambles-on, and I'm proud to bring you the best Peak has to offer. So now let's dive in.
App 5 Freddy told me everybody's fly. DJ's spinning, I said my. Flash is fast, Flash is cool. Francois Sapah, Flash ain't no dude, and you don't stop. Sure shot, go out to the parking lot. And you get in your car and you drive real far, and you drive all night, then you see a light. Comes right down and lands on the ground, and out comes a man from Mars. And you try to run, but he's got a gun, and he shoots you dead, and he eats your head, and then you're in the Man from Mars.
After our last time skip of OG Dragon Ball, we reconvene with Roshi and Bulma at the battlegrounds of the Tenkaichi Budokai. And come on man, I just finished dodging the last touchy subject. And Yamcha apparently dipped on his GF for the past 3 years. Not to beat a dead horse, but we've seen the writing on the walls, gang. It should not have come as that big of a shock that Yamcha was a bad boyfriend. We get reintroduced to Goku, fresh off another growth spurt. I love that the Piccolo drip spread to Goku after living with Kami. At the time, a move like this was unprecedented. Akira Toriyama reported he was struggling with drawing cool poses given that Goku had such short limbs, so he made the controversial decision to have Goku grow up so he could broaden the fight choreography. But you can't do that. Could you imagine if Bart Simpson grew up as The Simpsons progressed? The show would have ended too soon. To that I say, true. However, this resulted in one of Dragon Ball's biggest strengths. Getting to grow alongside Goku is one of the most rewarding parts of getting into Dragon Ball. Watching your favorite character in situations that come with being an adult can be a source of strength as you start to face situations that come with being an adult. And you can hang me for this, but it's why giving Goku the Spider-Man treatment and constantly resetting him to being young so he's hip with the kids isn't the move. Face it, Goku is an old head, the march of time stops for no one. Goku is now 18 years old, meaning we get to see how becoming a man has changed him. And look, what constitutes being a man is very different from culture to culture. But based on traits we've seen characters demonstrate in the story, I think it's safe to say that Toriyama thinks men should never stop growing, try to bring out the best in others, and, most importantly, get shit done. More on this later. Being 18 now means that Goku's in-universe plot armor from Bardock is gone. I know the panel I'm putting on screen has Bardock using the word thrive, but that's a bit of an abridged translation, because the full translation couldn't fit in a speech bubble. In the original, Bardock says he wishes for his sons to grow up big and strong. The key part here is grow up, as in, when Goku stops growing, the wish is resolved, and Goku is on his own. But it's okay, because Goku is a man now, and it ties back into the theme of how men handle stuff. The rest of the supporting cast show up, and it's easy to forget, but Goku couldn't come down from Sanctuary for 3 years out of fear that Piccolo would slime him in his sleep. This is the first time Goku has seen Krillin since this. And, not gonna lie, I wish this got its own dedicated page. We don't even see Goku's face as he reacts to reuniting with Krillin. I don't know if Toriyama had to move on because he was running out of panel space in this chapter, but this was a very emotional moment that deserved a greater emphasis. We learn that to train for the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, the supporting Z-Warriors climbed Korin Tower and fought the Psycho Cat for the fake Ultra Divine Water like Goku did. While this method of recycling story real estate is a good idea for explaining how the supporting cast are strong enough to at least be supporting, it also sealed their fate. The rest of the story falls into a similar pattern where Goku will discover a new training method, milk it for all it's worth, move on to bigger and better, and then the rest of the cast will swoop in to lick up his leftovers. Even Vegeta fell into this trap, only becoming relative to Goku and Super once they started doing the same training with the same master. A lot of people think Namek was the arc that put the cast too far behind to ever be a problem for Goku again, but it was actually this one. As stated by Ten Shinhan, always being one step behind Goku would ensure that none of them ever had main character energy. Once more, none of them had the ambition to be the main character. If they did, they would have caught the first Noibo up to Sanctuary and received godly training alongside Goku. But they didn't, and that's why they've all been cursed to do nothing but pose for group shots. By the way, I was once watching a Carthu's Dojo video. He's goated, by the way, so you should go check out his channel. And at one point, he proposed a thought experiment where we ask ourselves how Yamcha got his scars, when at this point in the story, he would have been in the top 10 strongest people on the planet, and it's very unlikely any wild animal or stray mugger would have been strong enough to hurt him. Here's my theory. A power level is basically your resting ki level. We know this because in the same saga where power levels are introduced, Piccolo is able to raise his power level by channeling more ki into his attacks. Even though fans treat power levels like gospel, in a state like this where he was battered and out of ki, Goku probably had a power level close to 0. That's most likely how Yamcha got his scars. One day, he trained for too long and too hard, getting himself into a situation where his ki reserves were too low to protect from an attack, leaving him with some cool battle damage. And that's not even the last bit of fun we'll get to have with scars this arc, so stay tuned. Despite being fully developed martial artists and not having to rep the Turtle Hermit School anymore, Krillin reveals that he still had a custom gi with the turtle symbol on the back made, which is very sweet. When you consider that Krillin was abandoned by his parents at a martial arts temple at age 4 and relentlessly bullied for the next 8 years, you realize he probably views Roshi as a father to him, so to dedicate all of his success to him is very sweet. With Krillin's backstory, it's a miracle he turned out slightly bratty instead of a full-blown Sasuke-style edgelord. Yamcha and Goku do the same, proving that even though fans may view him as a bumbling buffoon, Goku can easily be emotionally literate when he wants to be. It's during this wardrobe change that we also see Goku's tail is gone, meaning he'll never turn into the Great Ape again. While I'm the Uzaru's biggest glazer, and think missing the chance to have Goku master this form was a huge wasted opportunity, this was a necessary measure. The Uzaru was always Goku's wild card, something Toriyama could use to get him out of a predicament if he ever wrote himself into a corner. But as we all know, Dragon Ball's biggest theme revolves around getting stronger by your own hand. It was a popular fan theory until Super did all but canonize it that the reason the Saiyans had such a trash power level was because their strategy was to invade a planet on a full moon, transform, and ride the Uzaru multiplier as a clutch. While this made Saiyan armies a headache to deal with, it also prevented them from getting combat experience needed to grow stronger. Going back to my thesis for this arc, abandoning the ace up his sleeve is another way of showing that Goku has become a man. Part of maturing is accepting that you have to go from the one being saved to the one doing the saving. So for Goku to complete this arc, he needed to completely lose his security blanket. Plus, the Uzaru as a character had its arc completed. It went from an alien invader used to conquer planets, to a proud inhabitant of Earth using its power to protect Earth from another alien invader. And said alien invader makes an appearance on screen. Piccolo, now fully grown in only 3 years. No, it's not going to create a continuity flaw later, why do you ask? I saw Piccolo in a whole new light after the Kami reveal. After learning he's all the evil in the heart of an apprentice god, who didn't exactly grow up in the best conditions, brought to life, I had to ask if Piccolo even had the autonomy needed to be good. Look at it this way. Imagine if every other character in Dragon Ball was a cake made with 1 cup of salt and another cup of sugar to balance out the flavor. Whereas Piccolo was a cake made with only 1 cup of salt. Can you blame the cake for being salty when salt was the only thing it had in it? On my first read-through, I was also just kinda confused on what Demon Jr. actually was. He looked exactly like King Piccolo, so I thought he just was King Piccolo. Given that he has all of Piccolo's memories and fighting abilities too, my logic was, what's the difference at that point? Same software, different hardware. But on my reread, I took special notice of how multiple characters refer to Demon Jr. as a clone of Piccolo. I don't know how accurate the word clone conveys the intent of the original Japanese wording. If anyone can tell me, feel free to drop it in the comments. But the clone to me says, biologically identical to the original, but not the original. He may have the same body, but he wasn't the one who killed all those people. And Piccolo didn't kill anyone while training for the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, showing that he does recognize when killing someone is bad. If he can show reason like this, is it possible he's not beyond hope? It's this question we'll entertain for the rest of the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai. And this Tenkaichi Budokai roster is stacked. Gone are the days of having completely random people pop up in these tournaments. Everyone here acts as a reminder of how far we've come. And there's an antagonist that's been won over from almost every arc so far. Yamcha was from the first saga when he was hassling the original trio in the desert. Chi-Chi is only here because we managed to win over the Ox King, a dude with such a fearsome rep that Oolong shit himself every time he got mentioned. Krillin was Goku's biggest op while training. Remember, antagonist just means they oppose the hero, not that they're a full-blown villain. Tao Pai Pai is here as the last reminder of the Red Ribbon Army. For now at least. Tenshinhan and Chaozu for obvious reasons, Piccolo for obvious reasons, and Kami showed up to play the role of the wise master that needs to step aside for the next generation, now that Roshi has been power-clipped into oblivion. Yajirobe's here watching from the sidelines. While he was never a full-blown antagonist, he and Goku did get off on the wrong foot, so him being here is just another example of shonen protagonist Riz. Even King Choppa decided to show up to serve Goku a cease and desist for stealing his move. Poor King Choppa. I believe King Choppa symbolizes the peak of human strength with no ki training. I don't mean any Master Roshi-style magic trick, or Yajirobe happening to get games just by following the Z-Warriors around. I mean with just the gym, King Choppa is probably the best an Earthling could hope for. Him getting smashed here is a great example for why martial arts will become less relevant after this saga. It's either ki blasts or nothing. And every human would need some type of magic to stay relevant. Everyone breezes through the rest of the tournament just as expected, except for Cao Cao. Imagine grinding for 3 years straight to not even make the finals. Tao Pai Pai's return here was also amazing to see. He was one of few humans that actually moved on demon time. And just like how it's important to acknowledge Krillin and Yamcha's strength despite them only being human, it's also equally important to acknowledge Tao for the same reasons. And now he's not only just human, but a cyborg. And let me get ahead of this before we play word police in the comments. Tao Pai Pai is a cyborg because he had both meat parts and metal parts. He is not an android like 8-Ball here because he had just metal parts, like how 16 and 19 are androids because they only had metal parts. And Dr. Gero is a cyborg because he had neat parts and metal parts. And these two are neither androids nor cyborgs, because now they are only pure meat after having the bombs removed from them, making them humans that have been genetically modified to have infinite stamina. Are we good? Are we gonna have to argue semantics in the comments? If you're not satisfied, feel free to see me after class. Tao Pai Pai coming back represents the old generation refusing to step back, a theme that's present in almost every shonen and has already been touched upon by Dragon Ball, with Master Roshi retiring 2 sagas ago and opting not to participate this time around. Why I think this is such a recurring theme in anime is because evil at its core always requires some presumption of greed, and the greedy never give anything back, which is why it's important for the modern generation to stand up for themselves and claim their era. As seen with Goku getting to break free from the influence of the old gen by resolving his feelies with his grandpa. And now ex-antagonist Tien Shinhan will complete this arc himself, while current antagonist Piccolo will begin his arc of breaking free from the old gen's influence in this very saga. It's no coincidence that the very people whose shoulders Goku and Piccolo were fighting on top of like it's a giant chicken fight happen to be centuries-old beings with unresolved beef. This tournament as a whole encapsulates the sense of laying old drama to rest so the new generation can continue with a clean slate. Tien is the first to wipe his slate clean with the battle against Tao. It's easy to forget that Tao Pai Pai was the first time Goku got an entire Benjamin from the Tooth Fairy after a fight against an antagonist. And he did it while being a full-blooded human. Now after buying health insurance from LexCorp, he's even stronger. And yet, he still gets creamed by Tien, showing not only how far we've come, but that Tien made the right call to abandon his former masters. Tao thought fancy cyborg parts bought with blood money from his assassin's job would be enough to carry him to the top. But they were nothing compared to training like Goku. If that doesn't show hard work pays more than compromising your morals, I don't know what will. Unfortunately, evil doesn't go down so easily. Tao Pai Pai busts out a concealed knife, revealing he doesn't actually take pride in martial arts. He just wants to heal his bruised ego by killing Tien, and slashes open Tien's chest. Tien Shinhan tried to give him an easy out, showing he really is a changed man, no longer fighting to crush others for his own ego. Now, he just wants to forget about the past and move on. But this scar will always be a reminder of the dark past he must carry. Tien's reaction here after his character arc ties into this arc's theme of becoming a man. At some point, every man will find himself in a situation he can't control, but he can control how he reacts to it. Tien is being confronted by the embodiment of his sordid past. He can't make that past go away, but he can control what he does in the present. And what he does is stand on business. As Tao Pai Pai readies an attack. So, once both hands are off, how does he put them back on? Is he considered armed or... never mind. Repelling your opponent's strongest move by doing nothing is extremely petty, and I'm all for it. It's a page straight out of Disrespectful Goku's book. Speaking of Disrespectful Goku, being trapped in the ring with someone who's cheating and trying to kill you is the exact situation Goku found himself in the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai. Even after getting a taste of his own medicine, Tien reacts exactly how Goku would, showing his redemption really is complete. With Tien a new man, we now move on to Goku versus the mysterious woman. Hi, so fun fact about me, I'm really bad at guessing the real identity of mysterious characters. I'm the same guy who thought there was an actual possibility Master Roshi and Jackie Chun were different people, so I had no clue who the mystery girl was supposed to be, even though in retrospect it was the most obvious reveal in the world. Master Roshi points out that Chi-Chi appears to be a master of the Turtle School style of martial arts. Wait a minute. Martial arts? You didn't teach Goku and Krillin no martial arts. You didn't even teach them ki control. He literally did nothing but teach them how to lift weights. If there's a Kame style of martial arts, why did he not teach it to Goku and Krillin? Did they not pay for it and only had Kame style with ads? But on a serious note, Chi-Chi scares Goku with her speed and forces him to react. She was so miffed, it drove her to train hard enough to compare to an extraterrestrial. Forget Goku, Gohan got his anger issues straight from Chi-Chi. When we learned she was a master of Roshi's style, I thought there was a good probability she was a figure from Roshi's past like the many we've encountered so far. But nah, she was just the one-off girl Goku promised to marry. Even if the promise to marry Chi-Chi wasn't serious at the time, the fact that he still honors it shows another way this saga ties into the theme of becoming a man. A true man honors his word, even when it's inconvenient to him. Not wanting things to get ugly, Goku opts to ring out Chi-Chi with a shockwave instead of engaging her in hand-to-hand combat. Piccolo remarks that this is a Demon Clan move, and I really like the touch of having Goku use one of Kami's moves. This should be the counter-argument to everyone who says that Goku doesn't know a style of martial arts. Besides the fact that we've established that everything that has a fancy name is a martial art, see my video on why Dragon Ball humans are underrated if you want more info on that. Goku literally knows a style of martial arts. Mr. Popo taught him the fighting style that Namekians use. Just goes to show that Piccolo really is the reason 3 generations of the Bardock bloodline can throw hands. So Goku has a wife now. Fun fact, something that got lost in translation is that Chi-Chi's speech pattern is based on the Tohoku style dialect, and is commonly associated with people who live outside the city in more secluded locations. The manga tried to capture this by having her throw around more y'alls than sandy cheeks. And I don't know about you, but it just didn't do it for me. Up next is Krillin vs Piccolo. Krillin doesn't even let the fight start before calling out Piccolo for aura farming. I think it was a misstep to have Krillin not enter the fight aware of who Piccolo Jr. is. Which is bullshit, because Jr. looks exactly like his father. The fact no one recognizes him is utter stupidity. But if Krillin knew his real identity, we could have really gotten into his headspace in this moment. Imagine staring down the man who killed you, and getting a chance for a rematch. He once wiped you out like you were nothing, and now is your chance to show him not to trample on human pride. But nah, we don't get any of that. What we do get, however, is a brief showcase of how both characters' arsenals have evolved over the time skip. One big complaint about anime as a whole is that the bad guy always has these super cool and varied abilities, while the MC either gets punched really hard, or a shooty go blam. Mangaka do this purposefully so they don't box themselves in if their power system evolves. But it runs the risks of fights getting boring. I think Toriyama realized this, and made it his goal to see how many different creative ways he could use the Kamehameha in this tournament. It was at this moment, Piccolo realized how important dodging is. Krillin can also fly now.
Oh, they fly now! They fly now? They fly now!
I'll admit, part of me thinks it would have been better if fight stayed an ability that only certain characters can use, so the fights had a bit more variation to them. But Goku couldn't fight Superman without it, so it had to happen, I guess. Also, if Poir can do it, then it makes sense anyone can do it. On the other side of the ring, Piccolo busts out the Demon Hand for the first time. Which, by the way, the Daizenshuu name is so much funnier, and I wish it was the canon name. This, along with Great Namekian and Regeneration, are all Namekian abilities Piccolo awakens specifically for the tournament. Which brings me to my next point on Piccolo's character growth. During the King Piccolo saga, King Piccolo didn't use any Namekian abilities except shitting an egg. And even then, he still used demon powers to corrupt the appearance of his children. Heck, King Piccolo barely used techniques in general. He was a purely generic Ki Blast and Punch merchant. With his thoughts consumed by killing and conquest, I wouldn't be surprised if he never had to train a day in his life. But Demon Jr. has learned when to refrain from killing. We see as much in this very fight when he says that he must resist the urge to kill Krillin until after he's won the Tenkaichi Budokai, or he'll be disqualified. Not going on murder rampages every 5 minutes was probably what freed up time to train, and allowed him to slowly start tapping into his Namekian roots. If he was capable of resisting his urges and working to better himself, then who's to say eventually, he won't better himself enough to avoid killing altogether. We already see a sneak preview of Piccolo's better self, when his match with Krillin causes him to respect humans. Seeing the strength a human can achieve when they train makes him realize that they won't die like mere ants under his feet. And Krillin, by forcing the Great Piccolo to get serious, might have just achieved mankind's greatest display of strength. Sadly though, GT doesn't stand for Krillin time, so Krillin bows out. Yeah, no, it's fine. Why are you asking? I guess part of being an adult is knowing your limits and all. Up next is Yamcha versus this bumbling buffoon. This should seem like a slam dunk, but if there's one thing you should never do in Dragon Ball, it's underestimate the goofy ones. It's seriously sad to see how far Yamcha has fallen, and we haven't even hit the floor yet. From the second strongest in the group and fulfilling the second in command trope, to ball jokes. Even his own girl disses him in this fight. It's tragic because Yamcha really is the strongest human without a handout. Let me explain. Most Dragon Ball fans would probably say the strongest human is either Krillin or Tien, but Krillin has magic on his side, and Tien is boosted by alien genetics. There's also the androids and Oob, but their handouts are obvious. Yamcha is the only human who got where he was through hard work alone. So the fact that Goku didn't even consider him for the Tournament of Power is terrible. It sucks that Toriyama felt the need to constantly shit on the only character who is improving through pure hard work. But I just don't think Yamcha's personality is compatible with the type of growth he needs. For Yamcha to become a complete character, he needs to learn to not fight for ego. But he never does, and it's almost maddening. Even Kami himself tells Yamcha that he needs to kick his false sense of confidence, and he doesn't take advice from Dragon Ball's God.
I'm tired, boss.
So Shen progresses, and Goku clocks that Shen is actually Kami in disguise because Shen is the first part of Shenron. Goku, of all people, has a moment of deductive reasoning. Is it raining cats and dogs? Has the home for infinite losers frozen over? We pass on to the final four, and our next matchup is a rematch of the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai. Oh Tien. Poor Tien. Tien is like a character in a video game who is really cool, and you wish you could use him, but there's another character standing right next to him who has higher stats in every category. And every time you replay the game, you swear you're gonna use him, but then you get to the first boss battle, and those higher stats start looking real good. Their fight is heavily focused on speed, because Tien took one unguarded shot to the kidney from Goku, and decided he never wanted one of those again. So he just speed blitzed Goku instead. Going back to my video game analogy, what Tien didn't seem to know is that as a character's power level goes up, their stats all increase together, meaning Goku's speed was going up as his power increased. This is a trend we'd follow for a bit, at least until Toriyama got bored with it and decided to shake things up with the grades. I almost feel sorry for Tien. Knowing how much being strong means to him, and watching him go from someone fighting tooth and nail to leave their weakness in their past, to a hype tool, is genuinely tragic. For a good minute there in the King Piccolo saga, Tien was debatably the third strongest in the verse out of every pre-established character. Now, even after 3 years of extra training, he's going as hard as he can while Goku isn't breaking a sweat. Right now, the rankings stand with Goku as number 1, Piccolo is number 2, but only a hair behind Goku, Kami at a comfortable 3rd, followed by a considerably wide gap, then Mr. Popo at number 4, and finally, Ten Shinhan at 5. If the number 1 is this far above the number 5, and there's only 3 people between them, then what hope does that leave him with closing the gap? Realizing his plan to speed blitz Goku is shot, Ten Shinhan turns to plan B. He hopes that his proficiency with his Triclops techniques will close the strength gap between him and Goku. The multi-form technique is a really cool move. A really cool move. It stands out to me because it's another evolution of the afterimage technique. The afterimage technique was the basis for a lot of moves in Dragon Ball, and the multi-form is Toriyama's final take on it, pushing the move to its maximum creative potential. Apparently, this move also jumped out to the minds of young readers in the 80s too, because almost every mainstream shonen for years to come would have some type of doubling technique, with one of them even making it the technique. For some reason, fights with Tien in them just have a high rate of generating techniques that get recycled by other anime. I forgot to mention it last time, call me Toriyama, that the Tri-Beam, which should be the Tetra Beam because it has 4 sides, but I digress. The idea of an attack that gives you a super high boost in power in exchange for cutting your lifespan gets recycled in literally every anime ever. Don't believe me? Go back and check your favorite anime. I promise it's there. Tenshinhan's mastery of the multiform isn't just an example of how much of an expert Tien is learning new techniques, but it's tangible proof that he's redeemed. The multiform was originally a Triclops-only technique. Anime filler really donked up by giving it to everyone freely, and Super fumbled the bag even harder by canonizing it, but it was supposed to be a Tien-only technique, and him using it is very symbolic for the story. In the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai, Master Roshi told us that Tenshinhan has great potential, but letting evil into his heart sealed off most of his Triclops techniques. Him unlocking his Triclops techniques should be proof that he's pushed the evil out of his heart. That's why Toei, Toriyama, and Toyotaro, the T-Trio, kinda spat on this by giving the ability out like candy. Goku's counter technique to this makes anime history. If you became a fan of anime in the 90s, this is probably a core memory for you. It's the moment you went from a Dragon Ball fan to an anime fan in general. Like with the lifespan draining attack, every anime has a moment where a character drops their weights like this. It also happened to be in a fight with Tenshinhan. Who would have thought? Toriyama really struck gold with this weighted close technique, which he created all the way back in the second arc of the whole series. Making yourself heavier so you exert more effort to move is a concept that would stretch for the entire rest of the series and into Super. And it's pretty cool that it's just a natural evolution to the weighted shell that Master Roshi used. Going from a shell to symbolize how they're students of the Turtle Hermit, to clothes, which are generic and can be worn by anyone, is symbolic for how they've evolved past students and into martial artists in general. We're now looking at Goku's final form. And looking back, it's weird to think that for half the story, Goku never willingly used a transformation. We had to be content with him just going away every 30 chapters or so and coming back willing to accept he can just smack the shit out of people harder. So Goku immediately clocks two weaknesses in the multiform technique. And he's so serious, even Piccolo knows Goku's one. Yes, Piccolo, we see the fit. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean... And Tien gets hoisted by his own petard as Goku turns the solar flare against him. Tien thought he cooked by stealing the Turtle Hermit's signature move, and he spent every second since then watching as the turtles steal Crane Hermit school moves. Goku instantly foiling Tien's strategy here and beating the multiform technique goes to show you what makes Goku a danger. It's the same lesson we learned watching him demolish the Ginyu Force. Goku will never sit by and let you pass him. If he hears you're training in speed, he's gonna start training in speed. If he hears you're training in ki control, he's gonna start training in ki control. There's no shortcut to bridge the gap in strength between you and Goku, because Goku isn't the type of slouch who'd leave such an easy path to defeating him open. Before our next match, we have a little powwow, and Kami clues us in that Mr. Popo let the truth slip. Goku won't be fighting to kill in his fight against Piccolo, because he can't bring himself to kill Kami by extension. Kami's concerns here are valid. Even though Tien was a bum, he still forced Goku to bring out the best he had to offer. I'm talking top-of-the-shelf strength. If Goku had to tap into his full strength before even getting to Piccolo, and he'll be holding back to not kill Kami, what's that say about his chances of winning? Toriyama pops this question and leaves it to stew in the audience's mind during the fight of Shen versus Piccolo, masterfully building hype for the final round. The best part of this fight is that Kami is basically a stand-in for the entire world of Dragon Ball. There are a few instances where planet Earth itself gets treated as a character, with the most memorable being all the people of Earth donating their Genki to the Genki Dama. This is one of those times. After being terrified by Piccolo's dad twice, this is Earth's chance to strike back at Piccolo through its guardian Kami. Through his actions and being prepared to lose his hardcore world in Minecraft to protect the world from Piccolo, we see that Kami's priority has always been Earth, and that's the one through line in his decision-making. While turning Piccolo loose on Earth was a selfish action, and being prepared to sacrifice himself to save the Earth is a selfless action, both actions were all in the name of protecting Earth. And for that matter, everything he does is in the name of protecting Earth. We, the audience, aren't hopeful about Kami's survival as he steps into the ring. He does a good job of confounding Piccolo and even keeps up with him for a bit, but his other half is just too strong. Also, them communicating in Namek's native language is a nice touch that gets called back to in an important way in the Namek saga. Kami was top of the burst for all of original Dragon Ball, and he represents the most strength a being can gather from living on Earth. Watching him get beat makes us realize that Goku is Earth's one and only hope. Only, maybe hope isn't lost just yet. Kami has a secret weapon, the evil containment wave. Of course, it'll seal Piccolo without killing him so Kami can win, and as long as you successfully cast a spell, strength becomes irrelevant. Sure, it kills you if your ki is too low, but everyone has long since passed that must be this tall to ride sign. If he can do it, Earth just might be saved. Except, Piccolo learns from his mistakes. We forget the good guys don't have a monopoly on adapting, and Piccolo is a big believer in fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. I think this is what separates a peak anime fight from a mid one. While villains refusing to adapt and change their strategy can be a good bit of characterization, villains who are just as good at changing on the fly as our main characters make for far more interesting matchups. So Piccolo busts out the new move that he made, the Evil Containment Wave Reflection. Side note, Piccolo's ability to make new moves specifically for opponents is underrated. And Kami gets sealed. Earth has lost her one and only guardian. By having Piccolo capture Kami, Toriyama has removed Piccolo's one and only Achilles heel. He's got no weaknesses. Goku tries to stand on business, but Piccolo puts him in aura debt with this move. The big reveal gets dropped that Demon Jr. is a clone of the original Piccolo, and everyone is shocked. The dread of the situation sets in. The gap in power is so wide, they probably wouldn't even win if they all jumped Piccolo together. This is why Dragon Ball characters never just jump antagonists. The power levels are so high now that all the human characters together wouldn't even scratch the bad guy. Piccolo announces the birth of a new demon world, ruled by him. But he's still got one man left to stand in his way. This is what I mean when I say real men get shit done. While staring down hopeless odds, Goku doesn't go all black-pilled doomer core like the human characters. He puts on a smile and gets ready to defy the odds. Part of growing up and being a man is accepting that your days of having someone else save you are over. From now on, you'll be facing threats stronger than you could ever imagine. But that's okay, because when protecting who you love, the strength to defend them will come naturally. It has to, after all, because there's no other acceptable outcome. Our final two fighters step into the ring, one carrying the will of God, and the other, the will of the Demon King. Goku leads Piccolo this entire fight until the cheap shot. They begin with a martial arts clash, and even though Goku gets repelled, we know he's faking it because he's trying to get a feel for Piccolo's true powers. He does counter Piccolo's newly discovered namekian ability, showing once again that Goku's not dumb in the study of anything fist-related. While Piccolo's in the air, Goku decides to just skeet shoot him with the demon shockwaves Mr. Popo taught him. And honestly, if he just spammed that technique, he probably would have won. But we have to stop Kami from being slug poop, so he tries to take the fight to Piccolo's front door. And he gets his drip ruined for his trouble. Goku has to have a good tailor on speed dial, because I'm not joking, he ruins his gi in literally every saga. It looks bad with Goku laying in the dirt, but Piccolo cops that Goku is just playing possum, likely trying to set up a Cyberman finisher. Piccolo won't admit it, but he's glad Goku's gotten so strong. Now if he wins, his reign will be legitimate. No one will be able to say he's punching down on pathetic humans. So, the two agree to bust out their real power, and this is where the techniques start. Up until now, they've just been fighting with melee combat, but with the gloves off, Piccolo starts throwing around the Space Ripper stingy eyes, and Goku applies what Popo taught him about making his presence vanish. It's worth noting that Piccolo here is resting on the same tired techniques that already got King Piccolo killed, while Goku is pressing forward with new things he's picked up along the way. Demon Jr. using moves out of King Piccolo's book highlights the mindset he had to outgrow. Toriyama was very particular about the wording used to refer to Junior. There's a clear distinction that Junior is genetically identical to his father, but not his father. However, when pressed, Piccolo seems to embrace the techniques and ideas of his father. In an effort to relive his city nuking days, Piccolo rises into the sky and starts charging a ki blast to annihilate the arena and all of its spectators. He's straight up trying to relive his dad's former glory, but Goku plans to intercept it with the Super Kamehameha. The move taught to him by Roshi, which he's improved upon with his own unique twist. While Piccolo's moves are restricted by the past, Goku's own past acts as a source of inspiration with which to make his own moves, and it blasts Piccolo's move out of the sky. The damage of the Super Kamehameha reveals Piccolo's antenna, so he wraps his King Piccolo security blanket around himself tighter, revealing his true identity to the crowd. As a mass panic erupts, Piccolo thinks his next trick will seal the deal, and he uses another Namekian ability to grow huge, regaining his height advantage over Goku. A huge part of early Dragon Ball was villains being massive compared to Goku. This was done to sell the feeling of it being the world against this one silly kid. But Goku having a growth spurt to be Piccolo's height ruined that imagery. The Great Namekian ability was Toriyama's counter to that, briefly recapturing the imagery of Goku being against a huge opponent. It doesn't work, however, because Goku urges Piccolo to grow bigger, then uses his size to retrieve Kami. Goku furthering the height discrepancy between him and Piccolo is symbolic of how Goku isn't just adventuring anymore. He's working hard to get stronger, and he wants the world to come at him with more force to make him that much more stronger. On a side note, Piccolo is supposed to be 7 foot 5 inches. So why is he drawn shorter than the announcer? Do you think he just keeps a lesser version of this ability active at all times, because being taller than the rest of the gang is literally the only thing he has over them? Goku's figured out he can fire a Kamehameha out of his feet to simulate flight. Question: over the 3-year time skip, why didn't he just learn how to fly? I know he does in a few minutes, but it seems like a really useful ability to not snag while you have 3 free years to train. I guess it doesn't matter, because the feet Kamehameha is based. Small problem, Goku is starting to feel the burn. In this fight, Goku has been stronger and faster, but Piccolo has had the better defense, and they're both starting to run out of gas. Piccolo takes advantage of being able to fly and hits Goku with a heavy attack. As he goes in for the kill, Kami steps in and stops them, leaving Goku mortified. And this is why Goku isn't Superman. One of the biggest criticisms of the first English dub of Dragon Ball Z is that many lines were altered from their Japanese counterpart in a way that hurts characterization, with Goku letting Vegeta go being one of the most egregious cases, with the dub changing it from Goku wanting to fight the Saiyan Prince once again, to wanting to teach him about mercy and the power of friendship. To alter a line like this is to ignore one crucial aspect of the character, and it's that Goku's kinda got an ego on him. Egotism isn't usually a character trait carried by many good guys, but it's kinda undeniable that when Goku is in training mode, he makes selfish decisions for the sake of getting stronger. And this is just one of them. Goku is mortified that Kami has interfered because it could get him disqualified from the Tenkaichi Budokai. If you put any hero with traditional save-the-day morals in this situation, say, Superman, they wouldn't think twice about ganging up on the bad guy, because it's the most likely way to save the day with minimal casualties. But this isn't Superman, it's Goku. Even when faced with the end of the world, winning the Tenkaichi Budokai and becoming the strongest under the heavens is still top priority. Now, that's not to say Goku's ego is big enough to push aside all morals. Quite the contrary, if you put your hands on his loved ones, all bets are off. Your clothes are getting folded with you still in them. They will never convince me Goku was thinking about training and getting stronger here. He was thinking, this alien lizard hurt my friends and needs to die for it. That's why he's still a hero and not an anti-hero. It does, however, cloud his judgment a bit and make him do things like let Piccolo have a free shot on him. But most importantly, Goku doesn't accept help from the peanut gallery because he still has a handle on the situation. As I discussed in my Red Ribbon Army video, Goku is fine letting some evil people get away because he can still swat them if they ever get too big for their britches. And that's his exact line of reasoning here. Piccolo wants smoke, and having everyone jump him won't crush the ego that compelled him to subjugate the world. If anything, It would likely harden his beliefs and make him feel like the world is against him. Whereas, beating him in a fair fight would crush his ego and prove he isn't Hashi. Which relates back to my thesis on how this saga is about showing how Goku has become a man. A quintessential pillar of being a man is stepping up when there's a job to be done. Piccolo came seeking a fight with Goku, so it's up to Goku to deliver. Expecting others to put their lives on the line and risk permanent injury or even death on his behalf isn't what a real man would do. So if you got sick of me rambling on and just skipped this entire soliloquy, the TLDR is, accepting help in a mano-a-mano fight isn't the manly thing to do. Piccolo actually steals one of Krillin's techniques, using a heat-seeking ki blast against Goku. Between that and the Kienzan, Krillin is an expert at handing attacks over to the enemy. Goku immediately reverses it in a genius move that breaks Piccolo's arm. People in this verse really have to understand, if Goku's seen it once, it ain't gonna work again. In a brutal display, Piccolo tears off his own arm and regenerates it. That was clearly a power cooked up because he didn't want to be caught lacking like his daddy, and would keep developing his regen until it was strong enough he's hopefully never caught lacking again. Piccolo is miffed and just decides to go scorched earth, blowing the Tenkaichi Budokai ring off the face of the earth. And I just like how Ten Shinhan thought the Tri-Beam was too dangerous to use against Goku, but was perfectly fine to waste shooting at the ground. Goku pulls off the ultimate act of disrespect in Dragon Ball and tanks his enemy's strongest attack. Out of ki and out of options, Piccolo is defenseless as Goku hits him with a barrage of attacks, knocking him out. It almost seems like the world is saved, until... It's almost funny. After dancing in the palm of Goku's hand for almost the entire fight, Piccolo reverses it all in one move, taking complete control of the fight as he breaks all of Goku's limbs. Noting that his father died because he left Goku one-armed to fight with, so he won't repeat that mistake, and breaks all 4 of Goku's limbs. Kami desperately asks for a member of the side cast to slime him so Piccolo will die by extension, but Goku tells them not to. Even with no legs left to stand on, Goku's heart still beats, meaning he hasn't forsaken getting stronger. Piccolo uses up the last bit of ki, and as a huge explosion rocks the land, everything becomes eerily quiet. Piccolo celebrates, thinking a new dark age of the Demon King is upon them, but everyone rejoices as a silhouette appears in the sky. It's Goku, and he's learned how to fly, but for some reason he won't do it for another arc. Goku has spent every day since he started training aiming to become the strongest under the heavens. His long journey to achieve the strength needed to accomplish that goal took him to heaven, and had him train alongside God. He's seen the supernatural, he's communicated with the dead, he's looked into the face of evil, and now, after 6 years of training to be the strongest under the heavens, Goku has ascended into the heavens. With everyone as his witness, Goku's limp body slams into Piccolo, knocking him out of the ring, and winning him the Tenkaichi Budokai. The last will of the old gen has been resolved, Goku's goal has been achieved, and the story of original Dragon Ball is over. But there's still one loose end left to tie up. Kami tries to Minecraft himself by running his nails across Piccolo's throat, but Goku holds him. Originally, I thought this might have been because Goku was worried if his opponent died, he'd be disqualified from the tournament, but upon a reread, I realized the match is already over. If Goku kills Piccolo now, it's just normal homicide, not tournament-throwing homicide. So why doesn't he? Well, for a couple reasons. For one, Goku doesn't want to lose a friend. Even after all the rotten stuff that Kami did, Goku still views him as a friend, and doesn't think he deserves to die. Least surprising twist ever. If Goku could see the good in Frieza, he'd 100% view a guy he lived with for 3 years as redeemable. Another thing, if they kill Kami, they lose the Dragon Balls. While the Dragon Balls have caused trouble, the gang still kinda needs them after all those buildings blew up. It's like Kami said, even if the Dragon Balls caused a lot of issues, if someone with a noble use for them like Goku still exists, the Dragon Ball should keep existing too. Goku in a way applies this same line of logic to Kami. He's trying to make up for all the bad he's done, and he doesn't deserve to die while still trying. Also, what should Piccolo really die for? I'm being dead serious. If you separate this Piccolo from his dad, what has he done that warrants the death penalty? He lived like a hobo for 3 years and blew up some buildings during his fight. That's it. He has yet to kill a single person. If Goku wasn't cool with killing Jiro because an alternate version of him from a different timeline did something bad, he wouldn't be down with killing Piccolo just from being born from the wrong parent. And finally, there's Goku's biggest reason. In Dragon Ball, how strong you get depends on the quality of enemy you fight. Don't believe me? Look how fast Gohan grew compared to Goku, and then compare the people they were trading hands with. Goku's gotten so strong, he probably won't get much stronger from fighting Kami, Tien, and Krillin, so he needs to keep Piccolo around as a sparring partner. But most importantly, this resolves the plotline of Master Roshi needing to enter the tournament to defeat Goku and Krillin so they wouldn't win and get a big head, thinking they were stronger than everyone else. A huge theme of Dragon Ball is that there's always a bigger fish, so Goku deciding to continue getting stronger, even though he has no goal to aim for anymore, proves Master Roshi's fears were all for naught, because Goku isn't going to rest on his laurels just because he's top of the totem pole. And finally, both of the arcs focusing on Piccolo were caused by the old gen's unresolved beef. Master Roshi had trauma from the Piccolo Wars and losing Mutaito. Kami casted a great evil onto the world and hid in Sanctuary to avoid accountability. And Piccolo caused thousands of deaths, and died leaving all the blame on his newborn kid. All of this drama was weighing down the new generation. Defeating Piccolo and putting the old gen's drama to bed created a blank slate. And killing Piccolo would contaminate that blank slate with blood, making it impossible to start a new era. And speaking of a new era, there was a huge shift this arc that marked a change in Dragon Ball, and that was the art style. With Goku becoming an adult, Toriyama wanted to revamp his style, going from the bubbly, chubby characters to tall and built muscle machines. This saga is the awkward middle zone, where we were still transitioning to the sharp jawlines that Toriyama's style would become famous for, and as a result, we still get some of the chubby round face art style from previous arcs, giving this arc a nice half-and-half art style that isn't like anything that came before or would come after. You can automatically pick out a figure that's modeled off the panels drawn for this arc. It's just such a distinct era of Dragon Ball, it's unmissable. This arc also had a lot of the characters doing that thing that animes do, where a character just goes phew and vanishes. When that happens, Toriyama has to use this fuzzy camera lens effect to convey how quickly they're moving. It's affected to show that these dudes are literally moving so fast, they're like ghosts to our normal eyes. Toriyama's signature cool camera angles return, with Krillin vs. Piccolo probably being the greatest example. I don't know why Toriyama chose to bust out top-of-the-shelf paneling for such an inconsequential fight, but I'm glad he did because it was a great way to show off the new Namekian stretchy arm ability. And with Namekian abilities, we'd be hard-pressed to not talk about how cool the art for it is. The art for Piccolo's broken arm is fantastic, and it's exactly what I wanted to convey Goku's injuries in the previous arc. His ripping it off is so visceral, and the dripping slime Toriyama draws around it when it regenerates is gross. And the great Namekian, ooh is it well drawn. Making Piccolo's shadow cast the arena in darkness is the perfect symbolism for how Piccolo wanted to throw the world into darkness, all delivered through the art without a single word needing to be said. I also want to draw attention to this squiggly effect that's around certain panels when characters power up. In a series where almost no character starts a fight on full blast, because it's just common courtesy to let your enemy finish powering up unless you're Android 17. This effect is a good way to convey that a character is done holding back without having to have them deliver some cliché dialogue. That's one of the biggest things I rate manga on. How much the art helps convey the story. Like how Toriyama creatively draws Tenshinhan's pants falling down to show how far behind Goku he is now. I also love the evolution of character designs. Kami's design is something worth talking about, because it's identical to Demon King Piccolo's design, but, you know, friend-shaped. I noticed Toriyama avoided using exaggerated expressions with Kami to avoid making him look monstrous, and convey the idea that this is like Piccolo, but if he took a chill pill. Demon Jr.'s design also smooths out a lot of Demon Sr.'s rougher facial features to convey that he's a changed man. His hooked nose and sunken cheeks are gone, being replaced by a normal nose and Toriyama's signature sharp jawline. making him resemble the humans more. This is also where we see the birth of Piccolo's turban and shoulder pad drip, one of the hardest fits in all of anime. It resembles something the Egyptians would wear for survival in the desert, and shows how Piccolo spent 3 years on his own, roughing it in the wild. This fit never goes away because Piccolo stays a loner for the rest of the series. I also love the redesign that Tao Pai Pai received. I'm not sure how there's enough of him left to even rebuild. The explosion kinda made it seem like they'd need a dustbuster to pick up his remains. And his cybernetic enhancements do a lot for his character. The entire top of his head has been replaced by mechanical equipment, giving him the illusion he's sacrificed his personal identity to become a killing machine. Unlike the androids who still grow stronger thanks to still being flesh and blood, even after their genetic enhancements, Tao's prosthetics probably greatly slowed the rate at which he gets stronger. After all, both his arms are metal, and you can't exactly make metal stronger by lifting weights like you can with normal arms. It's a fitting fate considering that Tao forfeited his pride as a martial artist by bringing weapons into a fist fight. Chi-Chi's redesign is also fitting for her character, with her metal bikini that's extremely weird for a 12-year-old to be wearing, replaced by a Chinese-inspired dress, making her fit the Journey to the West aesthetic. I hope you all like the Journey to the West feel, by the way, because it's about to get replaced by Star Wars and other sci-fi fantasy, and it ain't coming back for a while. Someone who is coming back, though, is Piccolo, as Goku starts the trend of healing his enemies back to full health so they don't die. Piccolo vows that Goku hasn't seen the last of him, and flees. Seeing Goku show an act of kindness to literally the personification of evil convinces Kami that Goku is right for the position of God of Earth, and he offers to step down and let Goku have the role. Even though Kami loves the job and nearly doomed Earth to get it, he believes the old girl would be safer in Goku's hands. Him being willing to surrender it is just another example of how Kami always acted with Earth's best interests in mind. Goku passes though, because he's already promised to build a life with Chi-Chi, and a real man sticks to his word. Taking the hand of his new bride, he boards the flying Nimbus, and prepares to settle down and leave the adventuring world behind, with his ambition of becoming the strongest fulfilled. When we first met Goku, he didn't have much ambition. He grew up in the woods, only focused on survival. But then, something changed. He made friends. They showed him you can do some amazing stuff when you apply yourself. So Goku's ambition to get stronger was born. He trained until he too was capable of some amazing stuff. And then he was basically done. Remember, he went straight from the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai to Dragon Ball hunting. Not more training. Then it all changed. Goku came face to face with evil, and he learned what happened when his ambition lacked conviction. So he recommitted himself to training, and came back determined to be the strongest. Strong enough to handle any type of threat. Even strong enough to earn the admiration of others, and make them shed their personal vices holding them back from being the best versions of themselves. And if you're strong enough that there's no one around strong enough to kick your ass, is there any harm in having a little fun? Goku didn't think so, but as it turns out, when you take on the burden of fighting evil on behalf of the weak, there are consequences to losing. If you never want to go through the pain of letting those who depend on you down, you need a burning ambition. An ambition that burns hot enough, no injury or setback will ever stop you from being the man you need to be to protect the ones you care about. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I believe original Dragon Ball is all about. It's the origin of not just the characters we follow through Dragon Ball Z, but the origin of Goku's ambition. The origin of why one man won't stop training until he becomes the best version of himself. It's this ambition that lets us part with Goku here, knowing that even if we can't accompany him on the rest of his journey, he'll never stop training and pushing himself to the limits, and being prepared to protect Earth anytime a new evil arises. I'm very thankful this wasn't the end, but if it had been, it would have been one heck of an ending to a legendary adventure. And thank you, everyone, for coming along with me on one legendary adventure. Some might think I'm wasting my time analyzing characters like Goku and Vegeta because it's not that deep, bro. And I will yield that Goku isn't the most three-dimensional protagonist out there, but it's my belief, as someone with an English degree, and as a writer myself, that there's something to be extrapolated from every text, no matter what genre or medium. And I hope you've learned something by watching my videos. You don't have to agree with what I've said here. I'm satisfied just knowing I got you to think about the text and come to your own conclusion. If you'd like to discuss this arc further, I've set up a Discord server to talk about all things related to my channel in the description below. I love engaging with my viewers and hearing what you guys have to say. If you like my content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know what you thought in the comment section below. Other than that, don't forget to work hard, study well, and eat and sleep plenty. And don't think for an instant that this is the end, because we're going full steam ahead straight into the arc that changed manga history. Goodbye, everyone.